We are talking some SEC football here on Southeastern 14. Chase Robinson and Chris Lee today, as we're going to talk some Arkansas Razorbacks football. We're going to dive into the football schedule for 2024 as we're trying to get you ready for the season. And hey, there's no better time to start looking at schedules than now, getting us ready for the season. But first, let's tell you about our friends at Bet Online, your number one source for the NBA and NHL playoffs this season. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head over to the website to get in on the action. Don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, that is BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here. So here we go, Chris. Arkansas, coming off a year that I think people had some expectations on them, but you finished 4-8, even with KJ Jefferson as your quarterback, even with Rocket Sanders, who was a lot of expectations on him. You battled injury. It was not the year Arkansas was expecting, especially after the 2022 season that they had.
Yeah, it was a season where you had injuries, you had pieces that just didn't fit together, assembled from the portal. It just was kind of a disaster. And one thing we know from running this channel for 3 years, Arkansas fans are passionate about their football. We're not happy with last season, and certainly they're expecting things to go better in 2024. And who knows, maybe the schedule gives them a little bit of a chance to do that.
And obviously, Sam Pittman back as the head coach at Arkansas. He has a tough schedule. There is some winnable games on this schedule, but nonetheless, in his position where he's at right now, he's got to look at this schedule and say, we've got to win some of these very key SEC games. They're going to be hard, but hey, you're in a position where you got to win these games.
Yeah, it's never easy in the West, but again, it was one of those seasons where it feels like it couldn't have gone much worse for them than it did a year ago. So, hey, the great thing about the offseason is everybody's unbeaten until we get to the opener, and that's where the Razorbacks stand as we do this in late May.
Yeah, Bobby Petrino back leading the offense for the Razorbacks, which those of us who've kept up with SEC football over time remember his time as the head coach there at Arkansas, and he spent time at other places, but a great offensive mind, which I think is going to help a lot for the Razorbacks.
Yeah, and let's take a look at the schedule as soon as you're ready here.
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
All right, let's see. We've got, as we pull this up, not a lot of easy wins in the SEC, but Arkansas gets one right off the bat, potentially with Arkansas Pine Bluff. Get that FCS game out of the way right away. Don't expect that to be much of a challenge. I don't know if there's anything noteworthy in that one, Chase, that you found, but an in-state rival right off the bat for the Razorbacks.
Yeah, this is actually the only second time that they've ever played. But one thing to note about this one, they're actually playing this one in Little Rock at War Memorial Stadium. It'll be the second straight season that the Hogs are opening up in Little Rock. So the fans in that part of the state of Arkansas will be able to go check out the Razorbacks and Arkansas Pine Bluff. But yeah, I think it's that's a good way to start the season off with a team like this. Get you a little momentum heading into, and we'll get to the second game in just a second, what could be a tough second game for the Razorbacks.
Yeah, some teams schedule more winnable FBS games, Power 5 games, than maybe Arkansas has put here with Oklahoma State in week 2. Now, Mike Gundy last year, that was the worst year they'd had in a while, but OSU never one of those teams that you look up and you're thinking, hey, they're 3-9 before the season starts. And the Cowboys in week 2, I think, will at least give us a little bit more of an idea of what kind of team Arkansas could have before they hit SEC play.
I think this is going to be a really good test for Arkansas. These two teams, they met for a long time. This will be the 47th time they've played, but they actually haven't played since 1980. Lou Holtz was actually the head coach at Arkansas the last time they played, so it's been a while. But I think this is going to be a really good litmus test for where Arkansas is at this early part of the season. And this is going to be a good tune-up. They'll have one more non-con game before they get into SEC play against Auburn. But I think this Oklahoma State game, I think it's good Arkansas is not opening up with them, but I think this is a really good second game because they're going to learn a lot in the Pine Bluff game, and then they'll be able to kind of fix some things for this Oklahoma State game. But I think that's a huge test in the first week of September for Arkansas, and they'll have to go on the road there to Oklahoma State for that one.
All right, UAB in week 3, that has been a group of 5 team that's been pretty competitive in past years. Now, group of 5 teams are just seeing their rosters and their coaching staffs increasingly rated. So I don't know what the Blazers will have when they come to Fayetteville September 14, but this feels like a very winnable game for Arkansas.
Yeah, it does. And, Trent Dilfer, head coach there at UAB, is going to have him ready to roll. He loves playing in SEC stadiums. But, I think this is another good game for Arkansas to be able to get some momentum, get some confidence, again, heading into SEC play. So, I see this as a W for Arkansas. We'll see if UAB can compete. But in your 2 of your first 3 games, you have Pine Bluff, you have UAB. I think those are both winnable games. I think the Oklahoma State game is winnable for Arkansas as well. So hopefully the Razorbacks can have some confidence coming out of these first 3 weeks, but especially against Pine Bluff and UAB.
All right, week 4, this would be, I would term it the misery loved company in 2023 game. Auburn coming off a disappointing season, year 2 under Hugh Freeze. They reloaded in the transfer portal at receiver in particular. This, I think, speaking of litmus tests, I think this is a good one, especially on the road at Auburn.
I think this game, more than any other, will find out really, truly what this Arkansas team is. You go to Auburn, one of the toughest places to play in the SEC. You think back to last year when Auburn came into Fayetteville and just embarrassed the Hogs on their home field, and Arkansas just they weren't ready for that. And I think based off of that embarrassing loss last year, I think they're going to be ready for this one. But it's huge for Arkansas to be able to play this game, compete in this game, and we'll find out a lot. Again, you have Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Oklahoma State, and UAB up until this point. Oklahoma State will probably challenge you. The other 2, who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But this is going to be a challenging game. This is going to be a 4-quarter game for Arkansas. Will they be ready for that at that point? I think it's going to be big. Auburn, like you mentioned, has reloaded in the transfer portal. Hugh Freeze is a really good offensive mind, and he's got a lot of confidence in his quarterback and the pieces he's now put around his quarterback, especially at wide receiver. And so is the Arkansas defense going to be ready for that? Be able to stop these big wide receivers? I think that's what Auburn tried to do in the offseason, is get some bigger guys at receiver, and they did that. And so is Arkansas's defense going to be able to stop them in a very tough environment there on the Plains in Auburn? I think, again, this is one of the biggest tests. You can circle this one. We'll find out a lot about the Hogs against Auburn there on the 21st of September.
And now we get to that annual matchup in Jerry's World on September 28th. Speaking of rebuilding, Texas A&M had a much publicized firing of a head coach. I've always wanted to go to a game at Jerry's World. I think if a listener out there wants to underwrite a trip for us, we'll do a live stream from Jerry's World that day. How about that? That would be a lot of fun.
It sure would. And I feel like this is just a classic matchup here between Arkansas and Texas A&M. You gotta, I'm not going to say Arkansas is fighting for their life, but in a way, like they're after the season last year, like they've got to be scratching and clawing to get wins this year. And I feel like Texas A&M is going to be doing the same thing this year. Yeah. They're under a new head coach in Mike Elko, and I think he's bringing an energy and excitement, as we've talked about on this channel with guests about Texas A&M. He's kind of bringing an energy that they haven't had there in College Station in quite a while. So I think A&M's going to be ready to go for this one. It's on a neutral field. At this point, this will be the second SEC game, and they've yet to play an SEC game at home for Arkansas. So they're going to be road warriors here in the first 2 SEC games. This one on a neutral field, though, which I think will help. But coming off of a game at Auburn, so Arkansas goes to Auburn previous week. Now they're against Texas A&M. That Auburn game is going to be physical. And so you got to hope, if you're a Razorback fan, if you're the Razorbacks here in this one, that you're healthy for this game against Texas A&M, because I think it's going to be an all-out war. I think A&M is going to be much improved. I think the pieces are in place for Arkansas to be improved from last year. So I think this is going to be a battle and a really fun game there. But it's two really tough SEC games right off the bat, and we haven't even looked at the rest of the way for Arkansas. But Auburn and A&M back to back away from home, that's tough.
Yeah, boy, when the calendar flips to October, the schedule starts to get brutal. Now that game with Tennessee, that is in Fayetteville. That's going to be a game that Tennessee, barring something crazy, is going to be a road favorite in. But hey, let's say Arkansas picks up a win or two unexpected to this point. Tennessee's breaking in a new quarterback, Nico Imaliva, and you just never know. The Vols, sometimes have hit expectations, sometimes they've missed them, and this could be one in the middle of the season that we look up and could be suddenly more interesting than maybe we thought as we do this in May.
I completely agree with you, Chris. I mean, again, Tennessee expected to be good. We won't know, especially with a first-year quarterback, like you said, until they get out on the field and we have a chance to see. A lot can happen in the month of September leading up to this game. But I think if Arkansas can get this one, which, again, I know Tennessee is good, but if Arkansas, it's in Fayetteville, first SEC game on their home field in 2024. If they could get this one, that would go miles and miles for Sam Pittman. He needs a win like this. And I feel like Arkansas, they get some good wins here and there, but they need a good signature win. And I think this could be it for Sam Pittman at Arkansas. If he wants to keep surviving there in Fayetteville, he needs to win a game like this in Fayetteville. So I think, Tennessee, again, there's high expectations on them, but if Arkansas can sneak a game like this, which I think is possible on their home field, that would go so well for the Razorback faithful and for Sam Pittman.
And then we get into breaking in a new quarterback part 2. LSU replaces a Heisman Trophy winner. Garrett Nussmeier, though, I think is more than capable of taking over. This is not going to be maybe a top 5 in the country preseason LSU team. But LSU's always got talent. This will be another one of those tough ones, but interesting. It'll be interesting between now and then to see what this one looks like going in and how good LSU really is.
Yeah, and I think the test is what will the LSU defense look like. I think their offense may not be quite on point as it was last year, but it will be good. The question is, did they put the pieces they need on defense in, and can Arkansas expose that in this game? Can they get something going offensively? This is a rivalry game, and strangely enough, even if LSU's had a good team, Arkansas hasn't, or vice versa. This has been a really good, fun game every time they play, and so I think this one could be another one because it is in Fayetteville. That would be huge for Sam Pittman in Arkansas to sneak a win here. And again, probably going into this game, it'll be LSU favored. But again, this would be a huge win for Arkansas to be able to win. And again, they've played this game for many years. It's been a huge rivalry game. This is actually the first time, though, they've ever played in the state of Arkansas, and it has not been in the month of November. So because of the schedule change, this is kind of unusual. They haven't played in the month of October since 1936, and again, they haven't played in Arkansas outside of November ever. So I think that one, Arkansas is going to be able to stop LSU's offense, but LSU or Arkansas needs to be able to expose the LSU defense as well. And man, the Razorbacks need to come ready to play because I think this could be a winnable game. I really do. I think this is a winnable game for Arkansas against LSU on their home field. And again, that will be a huge win for Sam Pittman.
By the way, we don't have preseason top 25s as we're doing this, but just check Mark Schlabach's preseason top 25, and this was assembled late May. He had LSU at 15, Tennessee at 14, Oklahoma State at 19. So by this point, this would be the third top 25 projected opponent, according to ESPN, that the Razorbacks have played. And then the schedule gets a little bit easier the next week, although a road trip to Mississippi State, again, team making a lot of changes, so you don't know exactly what you're going to get. But on paper, that's probably more winnable than the previous 4 that Arkansas will have played.
Yeah, I think this is the week where, and don't get me wrong, every week you have to come ready to play in the SEC, but especially after what you've just been through, like you said, Chris, like this is Arkansas's week to, hey, we're going to sit back, we're going to put our foot on the gas, and we're going to go. It's in Starkville, which is a tough place to play, but at this point, we have so much to learn about Mississippi State. It's way more questions than answers at this point, as the Jeff Levy era begins there in Starkville. So I think this is a great opportunity for Arkansas at whatever has happened thus far into the season in 2024 for Arkansas. I think they need to put their foot on the gas and come out of Starkville with a win, no matter what it causes. I think this is an important game for Arkansas because they've played such a tough schedule up until this point. To be able to go to Starkville and get a win, I think is going to be huge for Arkansas. They need to be able to do, again, whatever it takes to leave Starkville with a conference win that night.
Next up, what looks like the toughest 2-game stretch on the schedule, and what increasingly I look at is like, boy, this is not going to be an easy one for Sam Pittman. But you got Ole Miss and Texas back-to-back weeks. Actually, they're not back-to-back weeks. You've got a bye week in between, which will be helpful. These are 2 teams that I think are going to be on everybody's list for college football playoff contenders preseason. And, of course, Texas went to the college football playoff as one of the 4 teams last year, Chase.
Yeah, and you get Ole Miss at home, which I think is good. Again, you're coming off of a trip to Mississippi to take on State. Now you're coming back to Arkansas, and you have Ole Miss. A lot of high expectations on Ole Miss. You think back, though, in recent years, Ole Miss has not played their best football in the month of November.
Yeah.
They start the season great. When it gets to November, though, you see some you haven't seen them keep the foot on the gas. So Arkansas may try to take advantage of that, may pull some things out for this one against Ole Miss to get a win against, again, what is a very highly anticipated Lane Kiffin Ole Miss team. I think it'd be huge for Arkansas to be able to get this one. But it's going to be very, very tough because I think the Ole Miss offense is going to be excellent. They've got some really good pieces they've added on defense. So it's going to be super tough, but you got it at home. And again, Ole Miss has struggled at times in the month of November.
Well, and here's an interesting point to make. This is the time of the season where expectations either boost you or crush you. Anything short of a playoff berth is going to be disappointing. Ole Miss will have played LSU and Oklahoma its previous 2 weeks. So if those don't go well, could be playoff hopes in jeopardy at that point. Kentucky will be on the schedule earlier. So just going to point that out. Sometimes it's not just what you're up against, but it's the mindset of your opponent coming in.
Yeah. Texas,
meanwhile, will have just played Florida, but a few weeks before that will have played Georgia and Oklahoma, and Michigan earlier in the season. So again, you drop a couple of games, it could be make or break time for your playoff chances by the time we see these teams in Fayetteville. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, this was I'm really excited about this Arkansas Texas game. It's an old conference rival from back in the Southwest Conference. They played back in 2021, and Arkansas got the win over Texas 40-21. But my goodness, these are 2 very different teams now heading into 2024. But I'm excited for this one. Obviously, just it being a rivalry game and kind of the renewal of this rivalry. But Texas is so good, and I've said it before. I think Texas is a playoff team and a contender for the SEC in their first year in the conference. And so, yeah, this is going to be a very tough one for Arkansas to have there. But and you mentioned it. I mean, it could be make or break time at this point of the season. You got to win in November. It is so important if you want to chance to keep playing football, especially in the era we're at with the 12-team playoff. You got to win in November, and I know Texas is going to be trying to get themselves back into the playoff on this November 16th matchup.
And then we get to Louisiana Tech. This used to be one of the better group of 5 teams. I feel like the forces that have shaped college football with the portal and NIL have just kind of crushed this team.
Yep.
This feels like one of maybe the few built-in wins in the schedule here.
I think so. Arkansas is 4-0 all time against Louisiana Tech. But I mean, and the coaching staff will be reminding the Arkansas players this. You got Missouri the following week, which is always a fun one, rivalry game. And they'll use the Auburn, New Mexico State game probably as an example of this. But hey, you got to keep your foot on the gas in this one. I mean, you can still learn a lot about yourself in this game with Louisiana Tech, getting ready for Missouri. I do think it's a win for Arkansas. But again, as we saw last year with Auburn, New Mexico State, hey, you got to come ready to play against some of these smaller group of 5 schools.
Yeah, speaking of college football playoff contenders, expectations are going to be just that for Arkansas and Missouri. Says that marks 3 games out of 4 of teams that think they're going to be in the college football playoff. If you want to back it up a few more games, try telling Tennessee and LSU fans that they shouldn't be expected to be in the playoffs at that point. So that's a run of what, 7 games where you play 5 teams that are potentially, elitish, depending on how the breaks of the season go. And again, the finale, and that's Missouri. So if you're Arkansas, you better bank your work in September, because boy, this is just the end of the brutal stretch of the schedule here.
It is, and it's hard to end a season like that. It's hard to have a tough of a run in November as Arkansas has here. And you want to see these guys compete week in and week out, and you're right. September is an important month for Arkansas as you look up and down the schedule, because it is it's tough as you hit October and November. So I think I see some wins on this schedule for Arkansas. I see some really tough ones. The way things are now, you're so used to seeing the same kind of games, same teams with the SEC West and the East with the divisions. Now there's no divisions. We get to see some matchups we haven't always seen, but it's a tough go here for the Razorbacks in 2024.
Yeah, I made a comment at the start of this that it's a chance for a new season and new success. But boy, you look at this schedule, Arkansas had better bring it every week, because I cannot imagine there's 5 teams in college football with tougher schedules than what Arkansas is getting. I guess the only consolation is you don't play Alabama this year, which that's been a fixture on the schedule for a while. But other than that, boy, this is pretty brutal.
It sure is. And we'll have you covered all things SEC football year-round here on Southeastern 14. Subscribe to our channel, like this video, comment. Let us know what you think, Arkansas fans, about the 2024 schedule. And we'll be back with more SEC football coverage, as always, here on Southeastern 14.